Record this. All right, there we go. So it's the Monday meeting on November 10th. We got Pierce on here.
What's up, everybody? Pierce here. Um, I don't know. Should I just start like
Yeah,
at the
just kind of
beginning here?
start with like, why you're, what you did before life insurance, then kind of what made you start, what made you switch into it really.
Okay, so I guess 2021, I was in college, my senior year, working for ESPN and doing some sports broadcasting, multimedia journalism stuff there. And I've been with them for, I guess, about a year as an unpaid intern. So I had plans to go into multimedia journalism broadcasting after. Had some things go on in my life. I lost my father and some other stuff like fairly quickly, and kind of just was looking for an out, or something to provide for my mom and myself, like right then, right away. I don't know if anyone knows anything about like the broadcast industry, but it's full of nepotism, and if you're not plugged in, like at the top, you're just not going to see that kind of money for a long time. So I was kind of looking for a get rich quick scheme in a sense, and I found solar, which was exactly that. As many people know, it's just, I mean, it's exactly what it is. It's not a career by any means. It's just quick, flashy, big paychecks. And, that is when you get the paychecks and you're not just being told they're flowing in. But I met Joey and Mahmood, or Joey and Mo, I'm sorry, and flew out to California, dropped out of college, and started a expedition knocking doors out there for a year and a half about. I did see some success. I was the setter of the year, I guess, in the company my first year out there. Had 30, 40 installs that year. But solar it was a roller coaster. It was like exactly at its as it's cut out to be a get rich quick scheme when you are like in the right position to make that money. So eventually I kind of just was looking for an out, whatever that might be, something that was career based, and my own, not working for somebody or working up a triangle in a sense like that, because I mean it's more or less what it is when you run into most solar companies.
What's
I
been like, Pierce, what's been like the biggest thing that you think, like biggest reason why you've seen more success in life insurance versus like the door-to-door industry, for example?
Well, I mean, it's your own business. Like I was getting at, it's
Yeah.
you're not on a ladder, I guess. So, I mean, you get raises based on personal production in this, which is just absurd to me because they'll say, in other industries, you're climbing a corporate ladder. You have to do something behind another guy for X amount of time to receive X amount of money. And in this, there is no time frame on it. And I've never seen anything like that. I mean, if you bust your ass and hit, 50K IP 2 months in a row, whatever it is, you get to 120% comp and then start building your agency from there. I mean, you just can't grow that fast in anything else. I've never seen it.
Yeah. And when did exactly, because I know I started like back in February, March, full time, but when exactly did you start full time with this again?
Full time July.
July. Okay. And then now since, you've been in the business for like 3 or 4 months full time now, what would you say like is the biggest thing or biggest mistake that you made when you were first starting that, if you were to tell a new agent coming into the business now, what would you do differently?
I mean, I had 1 foot in, 1 foot out for a while. I came on to Family First Life well before July. July is when I decided like I was going to sit down and work this like a 9 to 5, as I see, Shane and other guys like that having the success that they do. They treat it like a business, and I wasn't really treating it like that at all. As soon as I started doing that, everything has changed. I mean, like 180. I can't tell you if I had a month above 2000 like IP before July. Then I worked full time and hit, 15 that first month. And that's not buying any leads. For the first few months I didn't. I just started, but I just plugged in what everyone said to do and sat down and didn't, get distracted, just busted my ass, and things started to change real quick for me.
Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest things that people miss out on is whether they're 1 foot in, 1 foot out, or if they just because I think I remember you had like a really good month, and then you kind of took the next month like pretty much off. Like you
Yeah,
didn't completely off, but pretty
I
much.
did for more or less completely off. July, August. I worked full time July and August, and then I IP'd in September 19K or 20K without working a single day.
Yeah.
Just about. And it was the worst decision I could have made. And I don't know, like to be honest with like if anyone else thinks about like, as soon as you start seeing the real money in this and think like take your foot off the brake or the gas, it's the worst decision. I made it personally and I spent like all October catching up and now I'm just now like where I should have been a month ago, had I not. But you live and you learn. I'll learn for you. I'll just don't do it. Don't try it.
What kind of schedule do you keep now that you're, because you have like the last like couple month or two, you've been like really locked in. What's been like your schedule, day to day?
I try to be on by 9 and I'm on Eastern time. So I try to be on by 9, 10 o'clock, no matter what. I'm waking up around 7 and I'm going until at least 7 o'clock. I'm trying to get to like 8, 9 o'clock Eastern time. So, I mean, a good 10 hours every day, no matter what. Now, I try to do more, but here and there, I don't always hit 12. I'm just being honest. 10 is what I like is a non-negotiable though.
Yeah. I'd say 60 to really be elite at this job, you need to be working 60 hours a week, just to be completely honest. You can make, in my opinion, you can make okay money working 45, 50 hours a week. You'll do okay if you're a good salesperson, but if you want to take it to the next level and you want to make like, multiple six figures a year, like you have to be putting in above 55 or 60 hours a week every single week. And there's other stuff you do in the off time too, where you're social media, recruiting, stuff like that. But just even dialing, like at least 50, 60 hours a week. Until you obviously have a really big group. But what would you say, like when you're coming into every day, like what is your goal for the day typically? And just kind of like go over your mindset on like how you're feeling when you first start a day. Like what are your goals for the day, like numbers wise, dials wise, and closes wise, and what's your mindset look like?
I don't now like I'm excited to wake up and get on the phones. Like I dream about it. Like I'll get off work and I'll be sitting on my laptop or refreshing HCMS. It definitely has changed. Like it's all it kind of consumes me now. It's unhealthy. But each morning, like I just expect to close. You got to expect it no matter like how I'm feeling, what's going on. Like I expect to at least close. I mean, I'm trying to hit two no matter what. I'd like to close more than two a day. But no matter what, I'm going to close a deal, no matter how the leads are. Like, I just go into the day, like telling myself I'm going to close a deal. If I don't know really what it would be like to think any other way, but I think if you do think that way, you're going to close a deal no matter how the leads, are falling your way that day. It's just all a mindset thing, I feel like. 100%. Like, gotta believe that you will close no matter from the free leads, paid leads, any leads. If you believe in yourself, like day in, day out, that it'll happen, I feel like usually falls your way. Since I've started thinking that way, I close at least, one a day, I feel like.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, your mindset's huge. And that's something like when I was, first starting in sales 6 or 7 years ago, you hear from everybody like, oh, it's all about your mindset. It's all about your mindset. It's all about positivity. And when you're new in the sales business, like any type of industry, you kind of hate that talk because you're like, no way. There's got to be some like magic words that I'm not saying, or there's got to be some sort of tactic I'm not using, or this person has better leads, or whatever it is. But it really is true. Like after being in sales for a long time, I can tell you like the mindset is the most important thing. And like you have to be you have to trust the process and whatever it is you're doing. Like if you think that the leads are bad, then the leads are going to be bad. If you think the leads are great, then the leads are going to be great. When did you start like after like being into business, Pierce? How long did you wait until you started buying leads? And then what was it like? Would you say if you're talking to a brand new agent, like when would you typically recommend that person makes the jump into starting to buying leads and getting off the gold mine?
I mean, I certainly think it depends on how much money you come into the business with. But I was like I said, 1 foot in, 1 foot out at the beginning. So I started full time in July. I'd buy a week or two of leads and then just work those the whole month with some free leads. I just started full time buying leads because this will be week 5. So, and have my by far biggest month ever, like off of my first full month of buying leads. And that's on minimum lead spend too. So nothing crazy, just 800 a week. But I mean, if I could recommend it, if you have the money to do it, do it. Like, it's only going to help you.
Yeah.
I always heard what lead flow equals cash flow from Mahmood and other guys like that. And I'm like, all right, whatever. Now that I have lead flow, it's equal cash flow. It is exactly as they say it is. If you got the money to buy them, I buy them.
Yeah. And I'd say too, just like really once you have all the applications figured out, once you're really just confident with the job and you're not asking a question every 5 seconds, like you know the script, you know how to close deals, like you're getting over objections, you're not just getting barely lay downs, like really just once you have this job figured out, because you're never one, no one's ever started buying leads and then made less money. Like you are going to make more money because you're going to be on the phone more, you're going to have higher quality leads, you're going to get more presentations and you're going to get more deals. So it's just, having that little bit of cushion before you're ready to start because, you obviously have to have money to eat and whatnot as well. But what was it, Pierce? I guess another question for you. If you could pick, like, say one thing or like maybe talking to one person that really made it click for you, maybe it was going to the Ignite event, but what was like the one moment where you said, like, you were like, all right, I'm now going to start taking this seriously. And since that moment, you started producing a lot better. Like if you had to say, what was that particular moment for you?
Uh, I don't know. That's a tough one. I knew I was like gonna start taking it seriously in July anyways, when I was gonna start taking it serious, but I guess moved to that next level of like 10, 12-hour days. So when I saw Eric, who I also saw when I went up to Lexington, not sell a deal for however long it was, his first few weeks on there, in person, not know anything about sales, do 100K in a month. I was like, if he, if anything, it like hurt me a little. I'm thinking I know how to sell. This 18-year-old kid I saw not selling anything, doing 100,000. I mean, it's super impressive more than anything, but that like lit a fire under my ass. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna make this work no matter what I have to do.
Yeah.
And it works.
Yeah,
If
and Eric, if you're listening, man, you're a freaking stud. And like I know he struggled when he first came in, and now he's one of the top guys in the agency, if not the whole entire company. So super super impressive, and just goes to show like you don't need some 5-star pedigree to be a killer in this business. Like all you need to do is be coachable, like he is obviously, and work super super hard and just believe in the process. Like he had a first rough couple weeks, but he didn't lose his belief, and he kept grinding because he saw it was possible for other people. And like, you just have to have the attitude of like, if somebody else can do it, I can do it. Cause like nobody here that's doing 50, 60, $70,000 a month, nobody's a rocket scientist. Like nobody's, none of us are geniuses, where we're like Elon Musk or whatever it is. Like everyone that does really well, whether it's sales or with building or recruiting, like they just repeat the wheel that's worked for other people. Pierce, what are your kind of like your goals from here? Like, what would you say, you want to be, 3, 4 months from now, like the end of the year, like beginning of next year, like maybe give me your goals for like what you want to do next year, whether that's like hitting Hall of Fame, having a certain size team, or, what are your kind of your goals from here on out?
I think Hall of Fame for me next year is a non-negotiable. Like that's if I don't hit it, I don't know. I'm not, something happened to me. I got hit by a truck. Like I gotta hit Hall of Fame. Now I'll hit this will be my first month over 30K IP. And then I'd like to be hitting 50K consistently from here on out and up from there. So obviously I'm gonna up my lead spend here a bit and make that possible. But I mean, obviously you could do it with what I'm on too. But 50K from here on out for the next 3 or 4 months after this month, IP. And then next year, Hall of Fame, I'd like my team to be doing 500,000, but not this January, but next.
Oh yeah, it's a good goal. I mean, they've seen so many people in the blueprint playbook, all of our different all-star agencies do exactly that. Like there's plenty of people on this call that are going to hit Hall of Fame this year and plenty more that will hit next year. And guys, I mean, Hall of Fame, when you really break it down, it just comes from consistency, in my opinion. Like I should just barely hit it this year, and I didn't really get started until like March or yeah, really like full time March and April. But it's 34,000. If you're working from January to Feb or December, it's like 33,500 IP per month, right? And when you look at the leaderboards, like we have guys like Shane and Eric. I don't think I've ever seen Shane or Eric or half these guys that are consistently doing over 50K a month ever do under 40K a month. Like they're always hitting those numbers. And it's because they keep their work schedule the same. No matter what, they're working Monday through Saturday, 10 plus hours a day, and they don't take their foot off the gas. That's really like the biggest thing I've seen from people that have success in this industry is just the consistency. And coming from other types of sales industries, like people can be kind of inconsistent because they're used to either having to work really hard for a short amount of time and then taking their foot off the gas. But with this, it's just you got to prove yourself every single day. Um, Quick on like a little bit of sales advice, Pierce, then we can open it up for questions. But for like when you're calling a lead, what's kind of like your mentality towards that lead? Like if somebody is giving you objections and they're giving you pushback, like what makes you want to push them and get five or six or seven no's or make them hang up on your face on your face? Like what is it that like pushes you to help that client help themselves? Like what's
I
your
mean,
mindset towards that?
there's a book Chris Voss wrote called Never Split the Difference, but every no is closer to a yes. So if you're getting a bunch of no's out of a guy, like eventually you're gonna hit that yes. And when you do, I mean, you hit the gold mine, as it like says in that. But the more no's you get, and if he's like engaging in a conversation with me that's giving me multiple no's, like obviously he's interested, at least somewhat, or he wouldn't be sitting there on the phone with me, for 6 or 7 no's, bringing me these objections. It's just about, finding the right spot, finding the why, bringing that up, um, just bringing down the barriers. I know in like a lot of times in this you don't face as many, but in solar it was, you ran into just people that would cuss you out of the door right away, and you're running into that 95% of the time. So, you had to get the objection out just so you can overcome it. The real objection too, not a smoke screen or the wife isn't here, I gotta ask her. Gotta break it down.
Right. Yeah. What would you say? Like, I don't know, what's kind of like, somebody tells you at the end of the call, like, I'm not asking like, what exactly do you say, but like, what are some kind of like, if somebody's like saying they want to think about it, they want to talk to their wife, they want to talk to their dog or whatever it is, right? Like, what would you say? What do you typically saying to those people in a sense? Like, how's your mindset towards that? Like, because like if they've been on the phone with you for 30 minutes, they obviously are interested and need the coverage, right?
Right. I mean, I'm gonna burn it there. I'm not gonna. If I'm there at banking, then I'm probably not gonna get them back on the call like to get that banking later. So I'm gonna pull every hat out of the bag, I guess. To say if someone told me that, well, look, man, like I don't even know that I can get you approved, right? Obviously, we've got a few health issues here. My job today is to just make sure we can get that approval, and see if we can do that, and then we can go from there. Or, if I'm getting pushback on giving me the banking, whatever it is, obviously going back into my credentials, I like to send my state license with my ID every time I like send it in. I feel like that negates a bunch of like banking objections, just having that there. And then that's the first thing I'll bring up if I do run into that. And then, if I keep getting pushback, I'm like, look, man, I don't know why, we've been through this for 35 minutes. Obviously, like something, you need this, it is a need, or you wouldn't have spent this much time here with me. And, then I'll bring up the social line too, many of times. Like, you already gave me your social. If I wanted to do anything malicious, like, there's that. This is on the bottom of every check you hand to anybody you ever work with. Like, who all do you hand out a check to? Do you think your yard guy is going to break into your bank account tomorrow?
Yeah. I think that's a big good thing to remember for especially for new agents is like they didn't just sit there and have a 30-minute conversation with a complete stranger for fun. Like they want the insurance as long as you've been clear about what the call is about. Like they want the insurance. They need the insurance. So
I
the
get it
biggest
from
thing,
someone too.
yeah. And like the biggest thing too is like I like to throw the why back in their face, right? Like, well, Mr. Bob, like you had told me that if something did happen to you, that your wife Tammy, she wouldn't really be able to afford the funeral. You remember that, sir? So like at the end of the day, what's riskier? Pushing this off like everybody else would, or paying the $80 or $100 a month to get the basic coverage to protect her. Just you got to be realistic about it and like help them realize that they need to do it because if you don't do it, like the next person that calls that person in a month or 2 months is going to close that deal. So you might as well push them, in my opinion, as hard as you can, respectfully, because you're really just doing them a disservice by not doing that and not being stern. Don't fall for the trap of like, oh, they're going to call me back later. What would you say, Pierce, like starting out that you do differently in your sales process now that you didn't do when you were first starting, whether it's like tonality, things you're saying in the script, like even how you're working, like your intentionality? Like, what would you say you do differently sales wise?
Definitely my work ethic is, completely different. I'm doing 10, 12-hour days. Something tonality, I think, is the biggest thing. I'm very like direct and loud when it comes on, Joey, yeah, this is Pierce giving you a call from the Veteran Benefit Office. I'm trying to get the attention. I mean, I'll yell it if I have to. Also, I mean, this isn't, for everybody, but I will switch my accent with whoever I'm talking to. Like if they're country from the South, I'm country from the South. If it's an old black guy, I'm like, Marvin, how we doing tonight, man? It doesn't matter. Like what we're old white lady, like, yes, ma'am. Okay. I think you need to match their energy, whatever it is. If they're being an asshole and being short with you as soon as you go through the intro, I'm like fairly short with them too. If they're very, I'm just reciprocating what I'm getting, but also while being like loud and direct and I don't know what the word would be, understandable with everything I'm saying.
Yeah, and that is 100% something Pierce actually does. He'll have a different accent like every phone call. But yeah, and it's definitely mirroring their energy is huge. What else would you say you do differently now versus like when you first started? Like when
Working, I mean, just the work ethic. Oh, I mean, also it is tough when you're starting to try to write a lot more apps as I'm on the phone now. I know it is tough when you're getting all your state licenses for newer guys. One thing I like word differently in the script is I like to get anyone I'm talking to, like to dig in to how they spell like anything or their medications, like just get as much information for me that I don't necessarily need that they can. So like right after the intro when they call, I'll be like, all right, going over the beneficiary, who's that going to be? And I'm like, all right, will you spell that out for me? They're like, yeah. And I'm like, now, Bob, I'm going to ask you a tough one here. Do you know her date of birth? And I mean, most of the time they know their wife's date of birth, but sometimes they don't. And then usually when they do, I'll go, okay, like I almost got you in trouble there. You'd be surprised how many guys mess that up or don't know their wives. And it always gets a laugh, like little things like that I've added. I try to be, outside of the script, like I try to get personable. Feel like with the beneficiary, that's a great spot. The medical is a great spot. If you can get them talking like about their medical history and the shit they've been through with the VA or whatever it is, I mean, it's good. Like you're building something there. So I like to get them talking there as much as possible. Like if they got to go up and grab a prescription to tell me what it is, I'm like, yeah, will you go grab that for me? Even though I really don't need the name. I think it's just little things like that throughout I do. Just and trying to get as personable as possible. If they can start talking about themselves outside of the script, like want to tell me things, I got it.
Yeah, and that's one thing too that I do as well with the prescriptions. Like they're like, oh, I don't know, like okay, well, do you have like the pill bottle, or do you think you could grab it for me real quick? So when I came from door to door industry, and one trick that we learned in door to door is as soon as you get into the house, whether it's for like when you're going to do a presentation for the close, we would typically ask the homeowner to get us a glass of water. And it's not because we're thirsty, but it's because we want to get them in the mindset of doing things for us and kind of following our commands in a sense, right? So in the beginning, if you're asking somebody like, asking them to go get a pill bottle, you're asking them, oh, you don't remember the name of your bank? Just go ahead and grab a checkbook real quick or a statement so we can confirm that so I can apply that discount for you. Like you're asking them to do things. You're asking them to write things down. You're asking them to look at your license in their text message. You're getting that client in the mood of going along with whatever it is you say. And you're like training them to follow your commands in a sense, right? That way, when you get towards the end of it, hey, go ahead and grab a checkbook for me. I got to confirm your routing number as blah, blah, blah. So they're already like in that mental zone of I'm doing things for this person. Um, yeah, it's really, I mean, Pierce, any other like, tips or advice or anything like that you don't want to give out for newer agents or really just anybody in general before we open it up for questions?
I mean, other than like it took me a while to like believe in it. I don't know why, just because it almost seemed too good to be true. If I just listen to what the guys that are doing what you want to do and bust your ass, like work it like a 9 to 5, treat it like it's your business, like it's gonna work out. I don't know. It's not as I think I overthought it. A lot of people do overthink this thing, especially with like all the different avenues, all the different policies, like leads. It's just something easy to overthink. Like try to simplify it and just do it. Like hit 400 or 500 dials a day and do that for a month and watch how everything changes for you. I think it's pretty cut and dry.
Oh yeah. We'll open it up to some questions. If anybody wants to unmute, ask questions of any kind, whether it's sales related, mindset, building related, anything like that, go ahead and shoot.
I got a question
What's up?
for both of you guys, actually. How would you guys deal with distractions in life? Seems like up here, you're working from home. How would you deal with distractions? So I work from home too, and like I get a lot of distractions with family issues and like, dad being sick a lot, and I still work the hours and I still produce a lot. But still, like I feel like I can do a lot more, but it's just that thought process in the back of my head that there's, there's distractions in my life. How do you
You
deal with
live
that?
at home? You
Say that
live with
again?
you live with them?
Yeah,
If you could, like if you have the means to do so, I think the best thing like to do, and how old are you?
24.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, I'd try and get out, like even if they don't like that, like I get how that could be, try and get your own place if you got the funds to do so. I mean, if not, and I went through that like for a period of time. It's tough to deal with distractions. Like you've got to like make it very clear, I think, and lay down like your, I don't know, your laws with them and have this thing happen. Like when you're at home, they can bother you through this hour to this hour, when not, you're working a business.
No, that's true, exactly, step by step. But I would just say, like, especially in perspective, like I am 24, I should, get my own place and all that, but I'm Arabic and it's kind of like, foreign parents, like they feel like it's disrespectful if you move out before you get married or something like that. But I don't know. You're right on that. Appreciate it.
I get that. Yes, sir.
Yeah, man. I would say Thayer, just like set out like dedicated hours of the day and just like no excuses. These hours, I'm doing nothing but work, like no no calls to friends, no whatever it is. Like just lock yourself in a room and go crazy and just grind is and it doesn't have to be like, I mean, obviously if you can do 10 hours a day locked in, no distractions, awesome. 10, 12 hours, do it. But even if you have to just start with like 9 hours a day or 8 hours a day, like start somewhere and like create a consistent schedule for yourself. And it can definitely get repetitive, but just like day in, day out, like keep yourself accountable to that schedule because we're all 1099. Like there's nobody realistically, if you take a day off, like nobody's going to fire you, right? But you got to remember, like in most 9 to 5 jobs, like I have tons of friends that work for no normal tech companies or whatever, and like if they don't show up to work, they're going to get fired. If they didn't call in sick or they whatever it is, use a vacation day. So like treat this like a job where it's like you are going to get fired if you don't show up 9 to 5, and like let your family know that that's how it is. Like I got to keep myself accountable to the schedule so I can hit my goals. So just like be strict with it.
Appreciate it. Thank you both.
Sure. Anybody else?
This was awesome. You guys killed it.
Thanks, Jack.
Thank you, Jack.
You're welcome, buddy. Your accent annoys me, but you do get a lot of closes with it, so I'll accept it.
Yeah, Pierce is the master code switcher for sure.
Yep.
Changing up. I'm not huge personally. I'll match their cadence and like kind of their tone, but I don't really change my accent too much. I kind of just talk in my voice, but like I definitely do match their tone. If it's like an older lady, like I'm talking a little sweeter, being a little like nicer than I would to some like 75-year-old guy who sounds like he's real gruff. And that's one thing too. Like I think it's just a really good tip for everybody in general is just talk loud. Enunciate your words. Like a confused mind is going to say no. Like if they don't know exactly what you're talking about, they're confused about anything you're going over, like they're going to hang up the phone, right? Like there's no barrier for them to just click on us. So if they don't want it, like they're going to click on you, right? So it's like just speak loudly and speak, very clear, enunciate your words well. And I've noticed, especially in the introduction, like kind of yell at people. You got to remember who you're talking to. Like if you're talking to a 75-year-old in person, like you're going to speak a little bit slower and you're going to enunciate your words and you're going to speak pretty loud because the dude's 75 years old. And just because we don't see these people we kind of forget about that. So, you got to pretend like, hey, when I'm talking to this person, I'm talking to a 75-year-old man. Like I need to raise my voice and I need to slow down and I need to speak a little bit more clearly. Like just, common sense stuff, but at the same time, it's something we forget about because it's all over the phone. So
I got another question real quickly. Um, you guys probably answered this, but I joined late to the call because I was closing an IUL when I closed. Yes, sir. But how much you guys spend on leagues?
I'm doing 800 a week right now.
800.
I do two
Now,
grand a week there. I'm also giving a leads away, but yeah, I do 2 grand a week.
2 grand a week. So I'm
Mhm.
at 1,000 right now, and I feel like it's actually working out in my favor. But I just wanted to know, like, when's a good time, especially for you, Joey? When was a good time for you to up your lead spend?
Man, I would say it's a good question. Because I started it, I went from 1,200 to 1,500 to 2,000. And every time I increased my lead spend, I made more money, right? Like that extra $300 from 1,200 to 15 probably got me an extra close a week. And then going from 15 to 2 grand probably got me an extra two closes a week, right? And then I also have more leads to be able to drop to my guys. I'm usually just dialing through my leads like once, maybe twice, maybe. And then I'm giving that lead away. So I think it really kind of like I think the sweet spot anywhere from like 1,200 to $2,000 a week or so is a really good sweet spot. Just like 1,500 probably if you're just selling 2 grand if you're Shane and you're going to work really really hard. Um, but I think just whenever I always tell people like start buying leads whenever for one you have everything figured out, but two you have 4 weeks of runway, right? So I wouldn't say like increase your lead spend to 2 grand a week if you don't make enough money in that week where you're not going to be able to afford to do it again next week. Like give yourself a couple of weeks of runway. And then as long as you have like 4 weeks of cushion or runway with your lead spend, I would do it because you're going to make more money, like realistically. I don't think anybody's ever like increased their lead spend and made less net income.
Because I was planning to hire my leads probably like the next couple weeks because I'm at 1,000 right now. But like I just even put in perspective of myself that I'm always just behind on leads and I don't want to hire it if I'm just gonna even be more behind on them. You know, like I gotta, what would you say for that? Like, have you ever been like weeks on end or not weeks on end, like a couple of days that like you haven't dialed like leads that are 2, 3 days old? You know what I mean? That like you have to get them. Like I would just see it as like an assignment that I have to get this done to move on. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I mean, dude, I'm like a day behind right now, because I didn't dial on Saturday and I only dialed a half. I sorry, I didn't dial on Sunday. I only dialed like 5 or 6 hours on Saturday. So I'm like a day behind personally right now. But usually I catch up to because I usually dial my leads the day after they come in. That's kind of what works for me. And I'm superstitious. So I'm just like, if it's not broke, don't fix it. Right. I know some people dial the same day. Some people dial 2 days, whatever. I dial personally the day after they come in. But I'll usually because I'm not dialing typically on Sundays. So I'll typically start the week like a little bit behind, but then by Wednesday, as long as I've been working 10 hours a day, I will catch up. And then I'll be good from like Wednesday to Saturday. I'll be good, I'll be caught up from there. And then the weekend comes and I fall back behind that day and then I catch back up again. So I mean, honestly, man, like if you're only spending $1,000 a week and you're still like falling a couple days behind, I would say you probably need to make more dials, that, or you're just really good at getting the presentations and you're on the phone a lot and you're not spending as much time dialing, which if that's the thing, then that's awesome.
No, it's the first thing, 100%. I really need to make a lot more dials. Like I used to dial a lot more when I first started and what I'm doing now, but it's just like funny because right now I'm doing a lot more income coming in before when I first started, but I used to do a lot more dials, but like I'm just getting content, but I got to get out of that mindset. I know how to answer, I know my problem with that, but I appreciate it.
Yeah. I mean, it's because you're better now. So you're doing more with less time.
Mhm.
But if you can keep your time the same and your skill level's gotten better, you're gonna kill it. So it's like keeping that kind of goes back to like not taking your foot off the gas. Like once you have the skills to only work 6 or 8 hours a day and still make okay money, like you still have to commit to yourself, all right, I'm still gonna do 10 hours a day. That way I can take it to the next level.
Appreciate it.
Sir.
Yo, hello.
Yep.
So I was gonna say with tone, I feel like I match their energy, but once I start to get more into like more sensitive information, like social security or their beneficiary, I feel like they start to like crumble on me. they start turning more defensive, which is totally like understandable. But when I try to like calm them down and act friendly, tone is like, which tone would you use? Because when I'm
I,
talking to them in that area, it's like there's no trust there.
unless I'm talking to like old woman that's sounding real sweet,
Yeah.
I'm still like stern. When I ask the social, I'm always stern. I don't care who I'm talking to. And or I'll be and for the MIB report, your social. I'm not. It's not like a question,
Yeah, yeah. It's more like a command.
It's like I need it, so give it.
Yeah.
You
All
know.
right. All right. And then
I would say too on the social as well, like the trust objection. Don't over explain when you get that initial pushback, right? So if somebody's like, oh, this happened to me earlier today with a close of mine, I'll say, all right, perfect, sir. And then for the medical underwriting, what's your social? And that's how I say it every time. Like, don't say social security number, just say, and then for the medical or whatever you say, just be like, and then what's your social? And just say it real calm, real confident. Don't change your tone of voice. Don't, sound nervous. If you sound nervous, they're going to feel that and they're going to get nervous. And then you're going to get a lot of pushback right there. They're going to say, like, half the time, they're going to be like, my social, why do I need to give you that? Or, oh,
yeah.
social. Or they're going to, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
A lot of times people will over explain, in my opinion. They'll give like a 5 minute long explanation on why they need the social. Just really quickly, just overcome it in like one sentence, and then you can explain more if they still give you pushback. But just that first time, like my social, I need to give you my social. Be like, yes, sir. That's just for the medical underwriting.
So just short and simple, stay confident, don't change no tone, just all
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. I mean, because if you sound nervous, they're gonna feel that and they're
Yeah,
gonna
no,
become
'cause that
nervous.
was my main problem,
If you
really.
ask like a question, they're gonna treat it like a question.
Yeah. But if you give them more of like a command,
A
it's
command, but
like,
with confidence too. It's you're doing this, you need this. I mean, no matter like I said, if you're yeah, speaking to like an old woman per se, like yes, ma'am, and for the medical underwriting, your social, like I'm still gonna like
yeah,
just
yeah.
give it to her, even though like my tone of voice may be a little bit different, of
All right. Really appreciate that.
course. Any other questions?
All right, guys. Stop